Hi Gemini, I hope that you're all doing well. We are here with a timeless reading. The first card that we have out is Four of Cups and the World. I'm also seeing Eight of Wands. If you have been going through a time of rejection, or if you had been going through a time when you felt like not thrilled about things, or it just felt like stuff wasn't clicking, or like things hadn't been working out, I'm seeing Saturn here, or you had to be saying no to things because they weren't resonating with you. Having Saturn here shows that period being over. The world. It shows there being a conclusion here. So if something just like wasn't working, or it wasn't feeling right, or the pieces weren't fitting together, or you were like on the lookout or like wanting something to fall into place, but it just wasn't, and you were honoring that, it feels like you were going through a period, maybe actually for quite some time with Saturn, that it was just like that, maybe repeatedly in a lot of ways. But now we have Eight of Wands and we have Six of Pentacles and we have the Lovers, which shows you moving into a relationship that's going to feel like there is true reciprocity there. It is going to feel like there is a true compatibility when it comes to the values, when it comes to the way that the relationship works, when it comes to the give and take. I'm also seeing the Fool, which can mean that this is going to be like somewhat of a new or different experience for you as well. This is the direction that you're going in. It feels like that's where you were, where it just felt like stuff wasn't really working for some reason. Having the World there shows that era is over, that period is over. Whatever was going on there has been completed, it's been accomplished. We're shifting into something else now. Now, where are we going? We're going towards Six of Pentacles, which feels like equality. It feels like balance. It feels like they're getting what they need. You're getting what you need. It works. It's sustainable. And we have the Lovers there. So this is going to be a relationship. This is going to be a partnership of some sort. You may have needed to be vocal about when things were not working, or there had to be conversations about it or discussions about it, and it may not have been something that you wanted to speak on. It feels like there was a responsibility, though, for you to voice that, like when things weren't resonating with you, to be clear about that. What's working, what's not working. I feel like this really challenged you to communicate more effectively, and that is something that was accomplished. But it could have been bringing up conversations and having you need to do things that maybe you didn't always want to be doing. Stuff that you could have been like, I wish that I could avoid this, but Saturn is like, nope, you're going to learn how to do this. You're going to show up, whatever it was that you needed to do that could have felt very uncomfortable, because there were things that you had to initiate. I feel like you had to be bringing these things up. You had to be sort of complying, having those conversations that were needed. For many of you, this is with a partner, within a partnership, this has been happening. And it could have been stuff that, like, I get strongly it can be things that you maybe didn't want to have to say, maybe didn't want to have to deal with, but you had to. And I feel like you really found your voice, like became more firm. Your communication got better going through this. I feel too like you come out on the other side of this feeling like you've really learned how to do something that's connected with your throat chakra, connected with the King of Swords. This means problem solving. This means good decision making. This means being incisive, like direct. that you're making choices, that you're saying what needs to be said, that you're taking on that responsibility, that you're not just waiting, that you're doing what needs to be done. You see something going on, you're calling it out and being honest too about the way that you feel, even when you don't want to. And not without discernment. This is kind of like, yeah, I wish that I wasn't dealing with this right now, or I wish I didn't have to say something, or like, why can't they bring it up first? This feels like when you have a problem saying something, when you don't like something, saying something and being clear about it. I just feel like this was a lot of dealing with things that you maybe didn't want to deal with, but now things are getting so much better. There could have been a lot of things that you had to do that maybe you didn't prefer to be doing, and you even could have felt like overwhelmed at certain points. You could have felt like, why is this what's being brought to the table? Why is this what's being brought to me? And you just had to sort of find your way through it. I'm seeing you didn't give up. I'm seeing you worked through it. It's kind of like a whole batch of things that were put on your plate that you had to work through. Here, I'm seeing you accomplish that. You finished this. So you're not going to feel like you're going through that period anymore. You've completed what you needed to complete. And I'm seeing you come out feeling like you've learned how to, it can be advocate for yourself, make decisions, communicate important things that need to be communicated. And that you're going to see change for the better because of it. Ooh, for many of you, this can be relationship stuff that had been going on, actually. Stuff that you could have looked at and said, like, this isn't how I want my life to be working. I have other ideas for that. But you could have really felt like, for some of you, this can be in a marriage or in a relationship, in some type of situation where there were things that you had to call out. There was problem solving. You had to be clear, transparent. You had to communicate things that you needed to initiate. There could have even been things where you were like, I want it to be smooth. I don't want to have to deal with this. I wish that this wasn't going on right now. There could have even been things going on where you were looking at the relationship and maybe feeling like something about this is feeling off to me, or I don't really feel like this is resonating with me. It could have like brought a lot of things into question for you as well. Now things are falling into place, but you had to put in effort for this to happen. So I really hope that you're giving yourself the credit that you deserve, because where I'm seeing you be is like a better partner, a better communicator, and having to go through things that maybe you didn't necessarily prefer to go through, yet you found your voice within this, and it feels very important. I feel like this is an awakening of communication for you, where you can feel like you can articulate things better. Maybe you can think more clearly, that you're getting better at sticking with things and figuring it out, because Saturn really puts you through it. This can be like minimum, I'd say about 2 years of going through this when we have Saturn out here trying to figure out these things. And this can be with the Saturn transit. It can be your own Saturn that you're dealing with, that you're learning how that works within your relationships. Figuring this out, working through it, and now I'm seeing you witnessing results of you doing all that stuff. You know, actually what this reminds me of, did any of you guys ever see that show called Dirty Jobs? It just gives me this feeling of things that like other people may not necessarily want to be doing, but this was your lot and this was sort of what you were handed, and so you had to just figure out how to work with it if you were going to stick with this to see it through. And I'm seeing you did all the things that you needed to do. Having Saturn here, having the world here shows like you really did it. It maybe wasn't that fun moving through it. You may have not had the best time moving through it. It feels though that it forged you and it pushed you more into your potential. And even though it may have done it in a way that you didn't necessarily like, I'm seeing there be some real grit and some real commitment here. And now you're getting to see the end results of it, and they're beautiful. we have that Four of Wands here, which shows there being harmony that's been established through this. And now things can finally move forward in a way where you feel like it is sustainable, and that was not how it was before. I feel like not giving up on this was a big sticking point. Like you staying with something and you doing the work and you seeing what happens. And that's always the thing with Saturn too when it's involved. It challenges you. That's funny. We have Saturn here and we have Gemini. We have the World and we have the Lovers. That's the way that Saturn works, is that it's basically like it's like being in school, and for the grade level, you have a bunch of different assignments that you're given, and if you study and you stick with it and you see it through, you graduate and you end up gaining those skills. Or you can see it like you know, when people go to specialty schools and so they have those certain skills that they gain in a particular area. This feels like everything having to do with thinking and communicating and psychology, articulating clearly, properly, thinking things through, initiating when things need to be initiated as well, especially within relationships, that being a big thing here. And now the prize that you get at the end, the thing that you're given when you graduate, is like things actually being good. Things feel stable, things feel harmonious. This is how it's supposed to be. You did all that work just so things could be how they're supposed to be. And it wasn't naturally like that, but you could have said, I see potential here for that to be, and I'm going to stick with this and see it through. And now you're seeing that happen. So make sure that you give yourself credit, because this feels like not only is this a thing where there's sustainability here and there is something that can be lasting, because this has been the relationship has been worked on to a point where you feel like you're getting what you need, they're getting what they need. It's that relationship that's working through now. This is also an accomplishment for you. This is also a celebration for you on an individual level of you harmonizing with your throat chakra, which was not harmonized before. So that's also something that's been accomplished through this. Even though I feel like you were dealt a hand that maybe you didn't want to take, but you did anyway, and now you're seeing the results of this. It was worth it to you for some reason, and now you're seeing that the effort has really paid off. The commitment has really paid off. And I feel like where you're going now, it's not going to be like what you were dealing with before. So just know that, like, things really do change. Things really do get better. And what I'm seeing be the storyline now is like, you don't have to repeat that grade anymore. You're not going to be given those assignments anymore. Something real has been accomplished, and you can see that and you can feel it and you notice it. And it's different than it was before, and it works now. And I do feel like you were called on stage to say something about it, to do something about it. And that you've made immense progress. And you can even say too, you really see a future in things now. You can look at it and say, like, it's not all perfect, like what relationship is, but for the most part, those very big problematic things, it feels like they have been worked out. And you know the direction that this is going in now, and you can have a lot of hope and faith and belief and trust that it's really going in the direction that you want it to go in now. And this is what true harmony looks like. Yeah, things were just not cutting it before. Feels like having to go through a lot. Having to go through a lot of times that could have felt like like a lack of showing up, could have felt disappointing, could have felt like I thought that this was going to work, but then things weren't working. Like it just feels like time and time again, you maybe had to go through a lot of disappointing moments. Ones though that left you in a place where you felt in emotional conflict, so you knew that you had to take action and you did. And I think that this also teaches you to not to accept things that you don't want to accept either. If things are clashing or getting in the way of what you see as being peace and harmony within your life, learning how to advocate for yourself in that way too, to call that out and to say that and to be honest about it too. And this is also, you can establish that stability and that harmony within your life where it just feels like things for the most part are smooth. Or if you're having like a very wild time or something chaotic is going on, you have that thing to sort of lean back on that feels stable, so you feel like you can deal with everything. That is the point of the Four of Wands. So it feels like something that you can continue to give to because you're also receiving what you need energetically, where it's something that sort of stabilizes that fire within you. But a lot of things that you had to go through, a lot of moments where it's like you got the assignment back and it wasn't the grade that you thought it was going to be. It was something else going on. And it feels like having to go through a lot of those moments, a lot of those situations, a lot of those interactions. And now it feels very much like those times are over. Because there could have also been a lot of hope of like, this is my expectation. The interaction is going to go like this. Or they're going to do this and then I'm going to do that. And then that's not. It didn't go the way that you planned for it to. The way that you imagined it was going to. All of these things had to be reworked. There was a lot of workshopping that was going on. And learning how to voice this, learning how to confront this. And now, all of those sorts of challenges being addressed to the point where these are not things that you're going to be seeing pop up anymore because you have worked through them. And worked through them where you've actually found legitimate solutions. So you don't have to go back and repeat those things because they've been completed, because they've been resolved. That doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect from here on out and you're never going to have another complaint again or everything's going to be flawless. It just means that you're not going to be dealing with those things anymore. And for the most part, what you need in order to feel like even if stuff is going on, you have that solid foundation to lean back on. That solid foundation, this has established that for you. So it's just going to get easier and easier to problem solve, and you're not going to be going through the stuff that you were going through before. I think too that something that this taught you how to do is to voice and be very clear about your expectations and about your needs. And that may have been something that you weren't always clear about. That's what I'm saying about this thing with communication. I feel like on all levels of like psychology, communication, your problem solving skills, you initiating based off of what you're thinking and what you're assessing, taking action, like these are all the things that have been developed. All things connected with your King of Swords energy, your ability to articulate things, to understand things thoroughly, to then be able to articulate them, to say, to look at a problem solve, communicate what's going on, and to learn how to do so effectively and not wait and not say something. So this has really, you have become a better communicator through this. You've become a better problem solver. You've become a better partner. And not just for this other person, it's also for you. You've become a better partner on behalf of yourself to say and understand what's going on within you, and then being able to mirror that, reflect that through your behavior, the choices you're making, and the conversations that you're having. And now it feels like a very challenging cycle that you've been going through is now complete with you and this person. And it feels like, oh, finally it's over. And you can feel that. I feel like a collective sigh of relief here that things are moving forward, and that all of that stuff that was going on that helped you become sort of what you are today, or at least peel back the layers to really expose yourself here. That's where we're left standing. And we have the Ace of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, which is the new chapter, the next chapter that starts. And feeling like, now I can build with this. And I don't think that was the feeling before. It felt like this was all about establishing the foundation. Now it feels like it's solidly been laid. And it really does feel like I can build with this now, and that being where you're left. You may have also surprised yourself with the skills that you gained moving through this too. That can be a piece of this as well. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.